did my best, and I just kept winning.
Fellow Toastmasters, let's meet Angela, Distinguished Toastmasters Angela Louie.
I've been a Toastmaster since 1998, so it's been 14 years now. Reluctantly, I entered the contest. So that's how it started. And because I was the only contestant, I won by default. And so I went on to the next contest, and being a competitive person, I always wanted to do well once I was in competition. The one thing that I learned was my now husband Alan is a competitive athlete. He treated this like the Olympics. I would have just, gone home and practiced my speech in the bedroom, in the bathroom, and that would have been it. But he really wanted me to get out there and train like an athlete. So he brought me to different clubs to train. He brought me, he made sure that I had feedback from different club members so that I had the opportunity to tweak my speech or to change it according to what worked with the audience. And it was a grueling process, not one that I necessarily would have put myself through, but it was, in the end, really helpful. It was really considered the speech that I went to the Worlds with a culmination of people's perceptions, what worked with people, what touched people. So it was really everybody's speech in the end. Everybody that gave me feedback had a hand in making it what it was. From some feedback that I received from Margaret Hope, actually, I did a speech about my father, and she said, it was good. And what she said to do was, you need to add some sensory information. So this particular part of the speech was about my father being robbed. So she said, what did it feel like for him? What did the floor feel like? What was the heat like? What was he looking at? What were the sounds? So those were the things that she said you needed to add. And she said, don't be afraid to, you don't always have to be just very, very nice in how you depict it. Because it's an awful experience. So say it like it was. So that was really helpful. I think for that particular speech, it really clinched the speech. That was the tense moment in the speech. And she just made me bring it up like 5 notches. You definitely have to be authentic. You have to be you. That is another thing that I learned in the contest. Most of the speakers I saw at the time were men, especially those on the contest stage were men. And most of the men had, a big presence, big voice, and I couldn't relate to that. I couldn't see myself doing that on stage, and I didn't know how I was going to compete with people who were like that. And I got feedback from people saying, Angela, now you have to be bigger, now you have to be more American. And I just couldn't do it. It just wasn't me. And there was an older Chinese man who came to me and said, Angela, you have a beautiful story. This is a story about your father coming to Canada. You have to tell it the way you tell it. It's your story. And you have to be you. And that just really, it just made me feel like, okay, I don't have to be anybody else. I don't have to be, a big male presence on the stage. I can be gentle, and I can tell my story with the power that I have to tell my story. Start with all the different meeting roles. They would go on to speaking projects in their manual roles. They might go on to executive officer roles. And then they might go on to contests. What helped me as a newer member was having a mentor. I had a mentor who was really beside me, guided me, coached me, and encouraged me to take the next step or the next challenge. I belong to a club that really feeds my soul. It is a club that is irreverent. It's fun. It's like a party every time I go, and I don't, there's a bit of unexpected each time, which, you know, if you've been in Toastmasters for a long time, it's sometimes gets to be routine. So I really needed something that was going to challenge me and was going to excite me. So I think if you ask yourself, what's going to excite me? The answer will come to your mind. The majority of the membership have done things outside of the Toastmaster Club. They've taken on leadership roles at, you know, area level, division level, district level, being involved in conferences. I mean, they really have, you know, spread out and taken on things outside of the normal Toastmaster routine. And I think that is what keeps the vibrancy of a club going too, is for membership to do things outside of the club and to bring that back to the club. Maybe people don't say very often, but this is something that I've struggled with, so I'll say it. When I went to the World Championships, a lot of people came back to me with the expectation that, well, now that you've been on the world stage, you must now want to pursue being a professional speaker, being on the speaking circuit, and doing keynotes and that kind of thing. And I really struggled with that because I felt it was something that I should do, I should want to do. And yet I just couldn't get myself past maybe my own personal hurdles. And now it's been several years, and I've really come to the point where I think, well, I don't think that's my goal. What I'm doing now, where I'm using a lot of speaking, is in training. I'm doing staff training in my field. I want to do something significant, something important, and something of value. And speaking might be part of it, but it's not the sole end point. So yes, speaking is part of what I do, but what really excites me is seeing people get it. You know, when I'm talking about an idea to do with mental health, I see people in my audience get it. They get inspired because it's related to what they're doing. It's related to our work. It's related to the difference we're making in the world. So that part of it has been more important to me than speaking for speaking's sake. So I think everybody needs to find their own way how they're going to use their speaking.